Wakey, wakey, everybody. We have a Rebel's Paradise coming to you July 11th to July 22nd, 2024. And if I talk too slow, which I think a lot of people would agree, I would even agree, I would recommend doing this video in a 1.5 times speed or maybe even a 2.0. I wouldn't get my feelings hurt. But getting back to our energy window, it's about 11 days. It's just right after July 4th, Independence Day, if you're in the United States. This video really does go out to our Aquarians, our Aquarian listeners, our Aquarian surfers, because we got screwed this year, 2024, as everyone else gets this 3 or 4 weeks robust feeling in their zodiac sign, and we just get like just a few days. So 11 days. So it's outside of the typical Aquarian season. And we get some of our time back. So I'm calling this the Rebel's Paradise. A true leader emerges. And let's get to it. Basically, big picture in the eclipse cycle, we're a little bit, this window is in this blue grayed out spot, and it's in the second of 2 Capricorn full moons is going to be inside of our window, and it's going to be synergistic with the overall flare. But here we go. So if you remember from the previous window, we had emotional maturing, emotional maturation, sort of started very chaotic, but we ended with a whole lot of lesson and usefulness and maturing from all that emotions. But now we're headed into more of a practical fixed, and that's the big point, fixed application of this. Application means eventually the energy that we're going to feel here in this window, in my opinion, we're going to see it unfold in the physical reality, because it is a very practical energy throughout. So what do we have? We have the Mars-Uranus conjunction that technically starts on 3 July, and our window starts on the 11th. That means that we are about 2.5 degrees of orb, so pretty tight, but technically the conjunction does begin before this window starts. So you might see the grounded revolutionary start manifesting, kind of like we saw the gold rush start about a month after that alignment of Uranus and Jupiter together in Taurus. So you might see some grounded revolutionary beginnings, particularly around July 4th. But then we also have a leader emerging, because you have the sun with a tight trine over to Saturn, and they're both in water signs. And so this becomes the heartfelt leader. It's the wise leader because of Saturn. And it's a heartfelt leader that cares. It might be harsh, might be brash, might just say it like it is, but it carries a lot of wisdom from past experiences. That's a Saturn aspect, and it cares a lot. These are heartfelt leader archetype here. And then we also have the waxing moon, which waxing in and of itself is getting more and more illuminated. And so in a related way, these energies feel motivating and actionable. And then we have Pluto, and you can see Pluto makes several alignments. We have a sextile, we have a trine over to our revolutionary warriors over here. We have the Mars is the warrior, Uranus is the rebel. So we've got the rebel warrior, and then we've got the revolutionary down here. We got the Pluto, death and rebirth transformation, with inside of Aquarius. So it's a big time power and control, but from a standpoint of freedom, revolution and collective good. Finally, we have Venus that has left Cancer. This is really to start the not just end the water backdrop, but start an alignment with Pluto that it also synergizes with this revolution theme because it's opposing Pluto. It will go exact soon, but it's obviously Venus having the symbolism of relationship. And so relationships might have power struggles, control issues, but it's also very activism oriented and explosive and maybe some destructive power struggles, but it's a new template for partnership. And so that denotes another form of revolution. So it synergizes the revolution theme, right? And with a leader that cares. That's an important part of this too. So to put all this together, you've got the revolutionary warrior, you've got the heartfelt leader that cares, you've got the relationships that are going through overhaul and a revolution of itself, and you have a waxing moon. All that together, you get basically the Gandhi archetype. You get the wise, seasoned, revolutionary leader putting all that together. And for sure, we need to talk about the backdrop, because herein we have switched over to a fixed profile, meaning that this is the fixed versus the cardinal or the mutable is indicative of more immovable force that can weather any storm. So we have sustainability through this revolutionary period, provides stability and security, builds a better world with determination. Now, on the downsides, fixed is more stubborn, can be a lot more inflexible. So you can see, some chinking of the armors, holding on too tightly to expectations. And then we head into the 13th of July, and I'm calling this the Founding Fathers energy. At the first quarter moon, by the definition of first quarter moon, makes a square or pressurized with the sun. And so very now like the pressure to move forward, the pressure to step out and start achieving your monthly goals. So that's one. And then the other is a new sextile emerges between our rebel warrior archetype and our leader that cares, our heartfelt leader. This sextile right here connects the two together, so it makes an even stronger revolutionary leader at the time of this first quarter moon. So it's action now, so much more action oriented. And then we have the climax of our revolutionary warrior, Mars and Uranus together at 26 degrees, 19 minutes of Taurus. And that's also synergized with the trine down to Pluto still. That remains there. The only thing that's really starting to die off or wane is the Sun and Saturn. So the wise leader is starting to wane out, but that's going to get replaced by something else, and we'll go over that here soon. But it's still there. But the big thing is now we've added a double square over to Mercury. Mercury comes into the scene now, and Mercury is now communicating because we're in Leo. Mercury's in Leo with a square to our waxing moon, energetically expansive, but also the rebel warrior. And so now there's this pressure, there's this need to be heard because it's Mercury in Leo. So we're having this now. You can see this revolutionary warrior's got a microphone in his hand and demands to be heard. All right, communicates outward, not afraid of anything, not afraid of being heard, wants to be heard, demands to be heard. So now we have an unabashed, outspoken revolutionary. And so it's only getting stronger. Then our final scene is a very short window compared to some of the others that we've done recently. I'm calling this the final scene. It's the full moon in Capricorn. This is the second full moon in Capricorn. Because the first one, we had all those water signs in the emotional window. Now, because we're in a new window, this takes a whole different context, and it's in Capricorn. So a full moon in Capricorn. Guess what one of our leader archetypes is in the zodiac? It is Capricorn. And so the practical, task-oriented, goal-oriented, pragmatic leader is risen in Capricorn and has ignited the warrior rebel, right? So we also have that sextile is very strong here between the sun and our warrior rebel, and then the easy trine. And the only other thing that's added here is the Pluto aspect that we've been talking about is conjunct with the leader moon, with the Capricorn full moon. And so not only do we get a task-oriented leader, we also get it conjunct with Pluto. So it has a flare because it's in Aquarius. The Pluto is in Aquarius. We get the power and control, maybe some control issues, but it doesn't matter. This leader is very demanding, and it's much less. I don't want to say this is a negative thing, but it's going to sound negative. It's much less caring about the people and much more oriented to the revolution and to the task. So it's not colder, it's just more task oriented. There's different kinds of leaders. They've got the leader that is of the people and empathetic and really cares. It's not a pushover. It doesn't have to be a pushover. I mean, it can be. But there's also the whole other kind of realm of leader, which is more of the get the job done, get her done, and cares less about the welfare of the people. Now, which one's right and wrong? Doesn't really matter for this video, but this energy right here, as compared to the beginning of the window, is much more task-oriented and much more practical. All right, and much more powerful with Pluto. The overall, we have the outspoken, charismatic, revolutionary leader with this full moon. And so basically the status quo is there's no way that can keep its norms through this energy. No way. And we're going to see this full moon in the sky. It's going to be a big visual marker that the revolution either has taken place or is taking place in the real world. It's a much more task oriented by the time we get to the 21st. And then these full moon energies last about, plus or minus 24 hours. It's very dominant for at least a 48-hour period. And then synchronistically, the sun at 24 hours, within 24 hours of the full moon, is going to head into Leo, and it's going to change the context of this. It's going to be a much more sovereign aspect. There's still going to be that revolution with the Pluto, but we're going to talk about this window a little bit later. This archetype, sun going into Leo, opposing Pluto, is much more of the after effect of the revolution. Starting fresh as a sovereign, that kind of nature. And so that's why that old window ends. It's an 11-day period, and we're calling it the Rebel's Paradise. So there you have it. Does anybody have any questions? Welcome. Are you Aquarians happy with this? I'm jazzed because we kind of got screwed earlier in this year, and maybe this is our time to see the revolution really taking place. All right. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being here, everybody. Namaste.